I believe that the reason God created man was for management.
Really? I have never heard it put that way.
The first thing is to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself.
God will never allow growth where there is no management.
Wow, wow, wow.
So instead of praying for things from God, pray for the management ability.
Everything I tell you is true. Everything I open my mouth and I say is correct because heaven directs me on what to say. Eligwe, heaven will tell me and I will tell you it will come to pass in front of your eyes. Not behind you, you will see it happening.
God will withhold things from you if you cannot manage them.
When you look at the facts that something around 1 million people perished as a result of the actions of the British and Russian and Nigerian federal governments.
Vis-a-vis what we see in Nigeria, which is truly not, it should not be surprising. Look, what's happening in Nigeria is barbarous. It's horrible. I mean, it's complete madness, yet it's not a priority. The United States unilaterally could do almost anything it needs to do. It would be a long-term effort, but it could be done. And the United States has the capability. All the elements of power, we have those.
So why not?
It's not a priority. That's the problem. We are committed elsewhere in the world. Black West Africa is not a priority.
Anybody who changes his principles depending on whom he is dealing, that is not a man who can lead a nation.
Excuse me. No way. When the time comes,
It's okay.
what stupid country is this? So when you see you try somebody's secret, when you like, you try secret, when you like it's in public, what stupid country is that? What stupid country is that, I ask you? When you like, you try in secret, when you like to try in private, they are killing my people. 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 After killing my people, you tell me what to try in secret? The person is mad. Completely mad. Tell Buhari, that's what I said. That he is mad. He cannot tell me. He cannot tell me. He's a madman. There's a contempt of court proceedings here. Contempt of court. They don't obey court order. They don't obey court order. You're telling me secret trial. Is the person mad? I, Nnamdi Kanu, will sacrifice anything sacrificable to make sure that Biafra comes.
We hereby declare no election, no 2023 general election in Biafra land. This no election in Biafra land has been activated. We are going to make it a task that must be done by every Biafran. All measures will be put in place to make sure the adequate civil disobedience is implemented to stop the election in Biafra land.
thing of discovery. It means to bring to light something that is buried on the ground. If you can accept that, then you know that Biafra is coming. There is nothing man can do about it. It's too late. Way, way too late. The countdown has begun.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Today is Monday, the first seat at home for the crucial days ahead. Today is Monday. Today is, of course, the 23rd day of January 2023. And we want to thank God for the success of the seat at home today. Tomorrow is the seat at home. And it's funny, laughable that some other people, like the Southeast governors, began to set public holidays in the day that they know that we have actually decided to sit at home. Anyways, I want to thank you all for joining wherever you're joining from. Without wasting much time, we have our guest in the studios already. We were supposed to begin earlier, but some shifts and some issues that came on and we needed to talk about, and then we had a meeting. So I had to tell him to please give us another 1 hour so that he accepted. In spite of his schedule, we had to make it this time, and still he's here. I appreciate him so much. I'll bring him without wasting much time to you right now. You're welcome, sir. Good afternoon here. Thank you so much for honoring, in spite of the fact that we didn't begin at the time that you would have scheduled your own time to fit in. Thank you much, sir. Please say hello to everyone. Thank you.
It is all glory to Chukwokike, Onyenwe Owa, Creator. I can't stop giving him all glory, all honor, and every adoration for making each of us what we are and placing us on this earth for just a season to work honestly, to work for the purpose of humanity, to serve one another, and to worship only him. I thank God. I can't thank God enough. And to my fellow Biafrans, I love you all so much. I can't tell you how I feel about you, about Biafra, about Yoruba, people who believe in Biafra, people who believe in Yoruba, people who detest Nigeria, the worst evil constructed against humanity. You will never know how much I love you and how much I would love to give whatever is left in this life for me, for the posterity, for the growth of Biafra and the Oduduwa nation. I would love to sacrifice everything sacrificable, just like Onyendu, in making sure that Biafra is here. And I only ask God to give me the courage, the energy, the consistency, the focus to deliver. Because without God, I can't do anything. So I thank you all and welcome you to this hallowed platform where we are not scared of spelling out that which is true and truthful against all odds. You are all welcome.
Thank you, sir. We welcome you too, and we are grateful that you have made out time to talk to us today. And of course, we're all aware that the reason why we are doing what we're doing is because we are longing for freedom, and we are fighting the fight for survival. Lots of things have happened to our people in the past. Our people have seen clips. Our people have seen, pictures. Our people are seeing, this level of evil that have happened to our people. Genocide. I mean, the scale of it in Biafra that happened to the Biafra people cannot be quantified with anything in the world. We know what our people went through. And the critical thing about it is that these things were done under the auspices of that brand name called Nigeria. Now, who is a Nigerian? An average Nigerian? Anybody who identifies themselves with Nigeria today actually are saying that they partook of the killings of people. Now we want to talk about Nigeria. Now, please, can you give us a very good explanation that defines Nigeria, especially to those who are still holding on to it like their life depends on it?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can I start by making it abundantly, unequivocally clear that a Nigerian is a conditioned, mark the adjectives. A Nigerian is a conditioned, fixated, happy and smiling slave. I need to repeat that. A Nigerian is a conditioned, a fixated, happy, smiling slave. I want you to know that when it comes to conditioning and when it comes to fixation, these are symptoms of mental disorder. It comes from the brain. People have been conditioned to fixate themselves on an evil, on the worst evil on earth, which Nigeria in itself represents. Nigeria is an evil construct of the most wicked, the most racist, the most fraudulent, and the most self-harming, demonic people. Okay? You just cannot be anything less than wicked, less than racist, less than fraudulent. You cannot be anything less to have supported the creation of Nigeria, to create such an entity where human ingenuity is destroyed, where it's designed to produce malfunction on a regular, on a persistent, on a progressive, and on a permanent basis. That is all that Nigeria have been designed to produce. And that is why you see all these mayhem. That is why all the people working against you, all the people pretending to be serving you, but are put in place to work against you and kill and destroy you, are byproducts of that entity. That is why we say Nigeria must end. If we have any remnants of being human, we must end Nigeria and end it now. Forget about all the confusion. Forget about all the chaos. Forget about all those. Everything you see going on in Nigeria, whether it is your father against you because you say Nigeria can no longer hold in any shape, in any way, in any form. If it's your sister, if it's your brother, if it is your so-called leaders, all you need to know is that these people are what they are and what they have become because of this evil entity. And once you cut out this evil entity, all these nonsense will stop. That's why we are now focused on ensuring that Nigeria exists no more. Your elections are simply a means through which you renew your slave and slavery certificates. Your elections are there to ensure that you continue on in this darkness And may I say that you have to think deeply in order to understand this. You must reflect. You must pray for discerning spirit so you can see these. The army, the law enforcement agencies you see in Nigeria are occupying forces to ensure that you continue to renew your slavery certificates. They are doing the biddings of Britain and the biddings of Fulani. You must resist them. You must reject them. You must stand against them, because as far as I know, the Red Sea has once been opened by God to let you and I pass through. And this is the time. Now is the time. There is no other time. I thank you.
Yes. You see, the critical issues that have really, affected humanity, is summed up in that name, Nigeria. And that is why you see it becomes a very, very broad spectrum word to qualify and to define the extent of evil in the world. Now, and what is the implication of sustaining Nigeria to both the people who are held under the name Nigeria and at the same time to the globe? What's the implication?
The implications are vast. They are numerous. They are totally difficult to capture. But one of the implications is this renewal of your slavery certificate. The other is the spreading of fraud, terrorism across the world. Nigeria only manufactures criminals. Nigeria is designed to manufacture criminals, fraudulent people, terrorists. Every evil known to man, Nigeria is designed to manufacture. The implications to humanity is numerous and incalculable. It is difficult for any mortal being on this earth to summarize or to be able to capture all the negative implications that Nigeria brings to the table for humanity and for this earth, because Nigeria is not only destructive to mortal beings, it is also destructive to everything created and destructive to the world. People need to understand this. This is why everybody you see supporting Nigeria is either benefiting from the evil, benefiting in quote, because nothing can benefit you from Nigeria. That benefiting is in quote. Everybody and every nation on earth that supports Nigeria or that are supporting Nigeria are doing it because of what they have benefited in the past, what they are currently benefiting, what they hope to benefit. I hope you understand this. Anybody, any community, any country, any continent supporting this evil structure is only doing it on the premise of what they had benefited in the past, benefited in quote, because Nigeria cannot give you any benefit. Now, they are doing it because of what they had benefited, what they are currently benefiting, what they hope to benefit at the expense of others, at the expense of another, and at the expense of humanity. Mark these words carefully. They are all carefully chosen and they are all truthful. None of them is a lie. Believe me.
The shocking thing here is this, that we have seen so many activities recently that have to do with Nigeria, sustaining Nigeria, and at the same time the people themselves, some of the people themselves who are actually the victims of this Nigeria issue, and the fact that there is this looming danger coming their way, and yet they are doing so many things to see that they help these evil people. They help the British and the Fulani to sustain this particular structure or organization called Nigeria that is designed to corrupt the world and to keep the world in an imbalance. Now, let me play this particular video. You know, it will give us an impression of someone who is an American, but he came in with his organization. And when he came in during the war, he now suddenly what he saw was different from what they've been hearing from BBC and other places. You know, he was shocked and he was talking from his heart this time around. And he said something critical. He said, why can't, for God's sake, 40 million people as at that time have the right to do whatever they want with their lives? And it is so shocking that we have most of this information out there, and we have those who have been designed by these wicked people to control the minds of the people, and yet they are fighting to make sure that they sustain this evil. Now, let me play this particular video before I ask this question. Let me play it. I played it yesterday. I'll play it again today.
George Ware, what brings two American student leaders to Biafra at this time?
Well, I would say that more than anything else is ignorance. Ignorance of what is actually going on here in Biafra and exactly what the details of the conflict between Nigeria and Biafra are. Inside the United States, it's very difficult to gather any real information, so we decided to come down ourselves and to see what was going on so that we could take this information back to students in the United States and tell them what the situation in Biafra is.
I see. Now, I understand that you and your colleague are about the first student leaders to come to this country. That's what the Biafrans tell me here.
Yes, I understand that we are, and I think that the reason that is so is because throughout the world there seems to be an international conspiracy to suppress information about this conflict, especially information relating to the historical developments which led to the present crisis. We are led in the United States to believe that His Excellency, who is the leader of the Biafran people, is trying to create a small empire for himself, and that it was in that interest that he broke away from the Nigerian Confederation. And yet, as we've begun to study the history of the developments of the Biafra-Nigerian crisis, what we see is the age-old fact of neo-colonial interests playing off the ethnic differences between African people to exploit them for their own gains. We feel that the British Empire, the United States of America, and of course now the Russians, are all engaged in a conspiracy to exploit the differences of the people and to create much destruction among them. And it's all in the interest of material gain and with a complete lack of concern for the humanitarian aspects of the struggle. There's no question that if the Nigerians had not been able to get large amount of arms, they would not have been able to wage such an intense struggle against the Biafran people. But the more basic issue is that regardless of what of the political consideration or the humanitarian considerations, there's no doubt that 14 million people have a right to decide what to do with their lives.
What do you feel now when you talk to all these people around? Do you feel, what would you say about the morale, the way you have studied it?
I think that there is the key to the struggle. For here in Biafra, I have never seen such will and determination to win. The only group of people with whom I can compare the Biafrans are the Vietnamese, who have waged a struggle for self-determination for 20 years or so. And here I see the people being brought together by this destructive conflict and an intense and deeply rooted determination to fight, to structure their country, and to decide which direction that their lives will go.
Now, this man has made he made so many vital points here. But first, I want to get your own, take on what he said. Some points that you would like to pick from that particular video. The points you would like to talk about here, so that the people can understand better.
The man who just spoke truth from his heart. However, I teased out some conflicting statements from him. At a point he spoke about things happening because of ignorance. On the other hand, why I found it a bit contradictory was he also spoke about deliberate conspiracy. You can't have the two sitting in one basket. If you remember, Harold Wilson and the Queen of England, who were both in charge of Britain as at the time, willfully designed and knew what they were doing. They were primary in making sure that all Biafrans are killed as much as it is possible for them to achieve, and they wanted to make sure that they hid it from the rest of the world. If you look at some of the pictures, please give me one moment. I need to take this call. It's been ringing for some time now. Just give me one moment.
All right. You see, we have to understand that the conspiracy is so high. And let me tell Biafrans today, don't worry about anything that is happening around you. Don't worry about the things that are going on, from whether people, so-called people that call themselves elders or whatever. We are winning. That means we are hitting at them, and it is telling on them that they are getting the message. So when you see, I was talking to somebody this afternoon, and the person was just crying, saying that this is happening. She cannot, she doesn't know that our people are wicked. Igbos are wicked. How can this happen? And how can that happen? And I was just saying, come, you don't need to, do you know what it means to fight for freedom? Do you know the people who, do you know what it means to go all out to seek for freedom? It simply means that you have been forced to stay down, and you want to bring yourself forcefully up again, and you need to struggle because the hand holding you down is still pressing you down. So you have to struggle. Many forces will come to be. They will use their two hands this time around when they see that you are beginning to exert energy. You know, so there are so many things that are involved. Forget about whatever you're saying, whatever they're posting. We don't, it's not our business. We are focused. We are getting our freedom. The only thing that has to happen now is that every one of us must begin to respond to instructions. Mazin Amdekan have already said it. You heard the message he gave last week, through Aloy Jumako. You heard the message he gave. Let me just post it again on the platform here so that you can see the message. And this is what he said. He said, I just exited today's visitation with topics, covered, included the appeal pending before the Supreme Court and the latest case I filed last week. The truth is that detention is tough, but Onyendu is tougher. He asked all to be tough and maintain their positions. We are in line. So, sir, let's bring you back.
Thank you. Thank you.
So please go on, please.
Yeah, so I'm very sorry about that interruption.
Yes, we understand.
As I was saying, this was a deliberate act. And if you remember, I've used adjectives, I've used words that are carefully chosen. Conditioning, fixated, okay? This is primarily what keeps happening to these people who constructed Nigeria and all those who subscribe to Nigeria. And these two elements are symptoms of mental disorder. These are brought about by the intense fixation on things that our eyes can see, things that our limited, partial, blind, assisted eyesight can see. These are people who believe strongly that human beings, mortal beings, are basically animals. It is about live and let's die. That is just what propels these individuals. I've warned and I've told you that anybody on this earth, irrespective of their title, their position, their possessions, their background, who believes that, or even thinks, or accepts that they are basically animals, that such people can only behave worse than animals. And I've told you why. I've spelled out why. You will agree with me that no animal will plan such evil, let alone execute it. No animal will design a world where they believe that by killing others, they will survive. and they go out and do it. Everybody knows that animals are instinctive and that animals can never be able to cultivate, let alone reproduce what they eat. So they depend on what nature and or mortal beings, you and I, provide to them. Everybody knows that human beings can predict animals, and animals will never be a threat to human beings. Everybody knows that. So the only threat and danger we have in this world are these people who believe that they are basic animals but end up behaving worse than animals. They have never for once chosen to behave like basic animals, and I've been pleading for them to do so. So in listening to that video, it is only factual to say that we are dealing with worse than animal behaviors here. That what happened and what continues to happen today are orchestrated and designed, and they are deliberate actions. They have nothing to do with ignorance. The only ignorance in it is simply the fact that these people are ignorant of what mortal beings are, the identity, the origin, the meaning, and the purpose of mortal beings on this earth. That is the only ignorance I see. And it is this ignorance Biafrans and Oduduwans are here to correct. And we need to correct it if mortal beings would ever be able to fulfill the purpose for which they have been created and made part of this equation in this transient existence. Very important we capture these things that Oxford University, Yale, Harvard, BBC, and none of these so-called leaders actually have in their brains, let alone teach you. We are here to make the difference for the benefit of the entire humanity. Trust me.
Now, you see, why?
And please, can I add, please?
Okay, please.
Would it surprise people to know, and I'm still thinking of that, what that gentleman said, that in Europe, there are countries that are less than 10 million people. They are countries. They are countries. But in Biafra, as at then, we had over 40 million people. Today, we are over 70 million people. And these evil people, because there is nothing else to describe them other than, nothing else to describe them with other than evil, because anything that seeks to destroy mortal beings on earth is simply evil. Forget about people saying, no, but moderate, anybody moderating evil is evil in themselves. Evil is not for moderation. People need to understand it. You must at all times call a spade a spade. When Yeshua, when Jesus called the Pharisees, Sadducees, high priests, when he says that these, when he called them hypocrites, there were many hypocrites who thought that he of the naked truth. I hope I'm still coming out all right. Can you all still hear me? Can you all still hear me?
Very well, we can.
Good. So I just wanted to add that. I wanted to make sure you know that in Europe, in many places that people call civilized world, I can assure you none of these people are, they are far from, they don't even know what civilization means, let alone being civil. Okay? In most of these places, you have less than 8 million people, but they are they are nations, they are countries. So it's important we bear that in mind. It is only because they classified all of you as basic animals that they feel that it doesn't matter whether you are 500 million. You are a bunch of animals that they need to manipulate, they need to control, they need to enslave, they need to destroy. You need to really understand these things. I thank you.
Now, we have had so many analyses by, on several global media platforms, media platforms of several countries. And you hear them analyzing the issue of Africa. You hear them talking about the foreign, grip on Africa and all of that. The world knows that Nigeria is a dangerous ground based on the fact that there is this power tussle, especially using the Arab nations to actually, fight and get some stuff, to control Africa. Yet, we see most of this global. It seems your video is paused. I think I don't know. I don't know if you can hear me, Prince. I don't know if you can hear me. It seems you are paused. Your network signal here is very, very low, very, very low. Please, if you can go out and come in again so that you don't miss the question, and then so that we can have. And while we wait for him to return, because I can't hear. I don't think he can hear. I don't think he can hear me. And while I wait for him to return, we have to understand. Okay. The network signal went totally bad. So I think you have.
I thought as much. I thought as much. I was going to answer your question because I knew where you were leading to, but carry on.
Okay. So now we know all of these, and the world knows all of this. Why is the world insisting on allowing what they know to happen by sustaining Nigeria, at the same time struggling to maintain their grip on Africa?
Well, don't forget that I've actually technically answered that question, because we are dealing with deliberate conspiracy. Okay, then it's deliberate. Nigeria is designed for what it is producing right now, and it is those who designed it that way who believe in stealing, in cheating, in annexing what is not theirs, even though they know that they are going nowhere with these things because they brought nothing to the world. Because they actually, the whole essence of Nigeria is what you're seeing now. Those who design evil defend their evil and encourage their evil. That's just how life is. When people have deliberately set out to organize evil, and if they ever feel that there is some form of benefit, in quote, from the evil, they will see the evil, they will welcome the evil, they will pretend they are against the evil, but they will be working tirelessly to sustain the evil, because that's what they designed in the first place. And they had a reason, no matter how evil, for which they have designed it. So that is what you are seeing playing out. Don't forget that the initial propelling narrative and concept driving these individuals is actually drawn from the animal kingdom. When they tell you that it's all about survival of the fittest, they are referring to animals that have no capacity to cultivate, let alone reproduce what they eat. Now, because they believe they are animals, and they believe that for them to survive, they have to destroy and kill others, they are acting worse than animals, because in their minds, they lack the knowledge that each have been given autonomy. Autonomy in the relative and unique food types that is cultivated from nation to nation, from community to community. They are blind to these things, that human beings have been given autonomy, human beings have been given choice, human beings have been given free will, and given total independent thought process, which we call cognition. I'm not sure if you are still hearing me, but I will go ahead.
I can hear you loud and clear. I can hear you loud and clear.
So you cannot be surprised that those who constituted evil will want to defend the evil and support the evil and encourage the evil they have constituted, because the blindness of their eyes are only fixated on what they term as benefits. I feel terribly sorry for these lunatics who continuously have forgotten that when they emerged from the womb of their mother, they came totally empty-handed. And just like the Queen of England, they are going to depart this earth alone, lonely, and totally empty-handed. We have to be here to help educate these people, because what they have currently is no education. In fact, they have the wrong knowledge. We are here to save their souls. We are here to take time to gradually tease out and show them clearly their wrongs and help them to overcome these wrongs. Because he that speaketh the truth is particularly interested in the human soul for salvation. I spoke a little bit about patent, and I can see why people are very resistant to it. I understand that very well, because I know that the way people have been conditioned when it comes to academia and religion, they find strange anything that is new. It shocks their system. The same way when somebody told the world that the world is round, not flat, there was that initial shock, because people have been conditioned to see the world as flat. And it was a huge battle. It was a huge battle, because in every evil, there are people that benefit from it, and they don't like it to be tampered with. And of course, we progressed from the world being flat to round, and today we are told it is spherical. And today we are rattling with it being spherical. And academia and the religion had shaped our heads to believe that it is spherical. But I can stand here today to tell you that the world is neither flat nor round nor spherical, because I know deep down that the true shape of the world is embedded in you and I through the gifts that God had given us. Okay? And these gifts are unique, coupled with limitations. And because there is nothing on this earth that human beings can invent, nothing on this earth that will give you the true shape of the world. I can bet my life on it. I will continuously say to you that our world had never been flat, had never been round, and had never been spherical. There are lots of things for us to open our brains and open our minds to, but I do appreciate the conditioning effects of the limited academic structures we have, as well as religious framework that are currently driving our narratives, our concepts, our modules, our ideologies in this current existence. But I tell you, Biafra is coming, and Biafra is here to begin to chip away at these things. All I plead is that we lose no sight of these things, because God will be disappointed if we did not spend time. I know it will take a lot of energy. We must never be lazy or relax in our laurels and just say, well, we just have to carry on with this darkness that people had introduced long ago. We must have the confidence, and we must have the consistency, we must have the energy to begin to look at these things very well, dissect them, analyze and critically analyze these things to tease out the whole reasons for which God has allowed Biafra and Yoruba nations to come. We must never be lazy in doing these things. If we are ever attempted to relax and follow the road, this dangerous road that we've been pushed to, I can assure you, God, who is the custodian of consequences, might have other things to do with us. So we must be obedient in the fact that God is allowing Biafra to take out time to begin to introduce real light to this world of darkness. I thank you.
Talking about academias and academic knowledge, we have so many people who are who can boast of having, you know, degrees and all of that, and all over Africa today, talking about, you know, having them in different positions, you know, in government all over Africa. And yet we have a critical situation which academic knowledge can actually resolve in Africa, in the sense of economy. Talking about economy, talking about politics and all of that. But yet we have these people who claim to be intellectuals, and they cannot exude that power, that academic power, to correct the economy, to correct the correct politics and all the factors that are actually necessary to build a very good nation. Africa today knows about the Abuja Declaration. Most of the, you know, presidents and all of that, they know about, let's look at West Africa, for instance. They know about Abuja Declaration. They know about the Fulanization agenda. About 4 or 5 months ago, Togo was invaded. At the border, there was this Fulani killings and all of that. These are knowledge. This knowledge is out there. They all know what is going on. Yet they are not talking. They know what Nigeria represents. They are not talking. Why is that?
Can I start by reminding you or telling you that my parents were teachers? And I thank God that I went to primary school. I went to secondary school. I touched base with seminary. I went to university. Now, if I did not, perhaps they will say, oh, because our people are always looking for reasons. They will say, oh, he's saying this because he didn't go to school. So I went to school, and for Christ's sake, I lived in London for over 28 years. I don't have to sit here to tell you the number of countries I have covered. So I'm not talking from a position of total emptiness. But let me tell you that even as a child, looking at the lessons and the things that my father and my mom were preparing in those days, from an early age, I gave them the challenge and challenges of their life. Because I began early to see the malfunctions in academia. And I can tell you that the brand of academia sold to Africans, if you are not first human, if you had not ignited your human components, and you're just operating as a being, I am sorry, the brand of academia introduced in Africa will simply destroy you. You can claim to be an engineer, but you can never make anything move. You can claim to be an electrician, but there will be no light. You can claim to be a civil engineer, but you will never be able to build any durable road. You can claim to be a plumber, yet everything is leaking. When you pay close attention to the brand of academia sold to Africans, you will cry. Don't forget that elements of that academia were littered with lies such as Mungo Park discovering the river at your back garden. That means none of you had eyes to see the river. Elements such as telling you to study and cram parts of insects, parts of butterflies, and you waste all the time and have first class in the knowledge of parts of insects that I have not seen any mortal being sit down to eat before. Neither have I seen anyone operating on insects. So the only thing that has saved some of us who had that primary and secondary education in Africa, the only thing that saved some of us is simply because somehow it pleased God that our human sides were activated and they were nurtured. That is how we overcame all these nonsense. That's why we have somebody like Nnamdi Kanu who now made us realize that these people that claim to be professors and all the rest are intellectuals.
Mm.
And it will shock you to know that people like Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa, and co, the people you call your founding fathers, were there when all these things were happening. They allowed the school curriculum to be retained, even though either they did not know that these things are lies, or they decided to play along with it. Either way, it told you the ineptness of their academic knowledge. Because no sane parent will allow their children to be poisoned by something that is ill, that is not right. Nobody will do that. That is why in Biafra, one of the first things we are going to be working on is to ensure that our academic curriculum will be based on the truth. If it is not truthful, it will not be there. And it will not only be based on the truth, it will also be relative to our needs. We're not going to be studying about apples when we don't see apple around. We're not going to be studying things that you can't relate to the natural resources, the unique resources that God had given to us. Because when you base your academia on relativity, you can now be able to effect the altering of nature, the altering of animals, the altering of human beings, the way you ought to be. You should be then able to be in charge of the food production that is relative to your need. You should be then able to effect and produce the medicinal products, including vaccines that will serve your people, because your academic systems are designed to be relative to your needs. For Christ's sake, do you have to be a rocket scientist to understand these things? Because these things are lacking in Africa, that's why you produce academic fools, academic intellectuals that are so blind, you begin to pity them. And they are only used to promote other people's products, even though those products have been poisoned to destroy their own people. They are only brought about, oh, I'm Dr. So and so. Oh, he will come and say, oh, this vaccine is good for you. Oh, but he was never there when it was initiated. He doesn't know the context of he's just flagged up as one of the experts and paid heavily to come and sell the idea to. That is what we have in Africa. And Biafra and the Yoruba, they are here to do the needful. We can't miss the opportunity. And the needful is not just for our benefit, but the benefit of the Fulani, benefit of the British, benefit of entire humanity, trust me.
That brings me to this question. Why the fear of Biafra?
The fear of Biafra is the fear of the unknown, which mortal beings are renowned for. And that is the fear that enables mortal beings to be content and happy with the devil they feel they know than the angel knocking on the door to come in and resolve all the problems. It's the fear of the unknown. But we Biafrans have consistently made it clear that we carry no ills. We are sent by God to salvage whatever is remaining of this chaos we see in our world. We are somebody, just because he claims to be a scientist, now wants to own the whole world and plan to control everybody and remove the autonomy, remove the free will remove the choice that God gifted each and every one of us from inception. The fear of the unknown is just what it's all about. And they are fixed because they are fixated on what they believe they are benefiting. But they've never asked themselves where they are going with these things they believe they are benefiting. Because as far as I know, everything you see in this world roots and comes from the ground. And everything must return to the ground. No one is capable of taking anything out of this world. That is why all these stolen wealth, all these stolen things, I mean, it will shock you to know that they are still in this world. Nobody has taken anything out.
Very well.
So I only have pity for the lack of insight. I only have pity for the foolishness and what I call the grandiose arrogance of these people. These are arrogance grounded in stupidity and blindness, trust me. But we will try to open their eyes and bring them to realities of life. I thank you.
I would like everyone who is watching right now to give us your perspective to why you think everyone, almost everyone who believes in Nigeria is afraid of Biafra, or everyone who is part of the British, sponsorship of Nigeria is afraid of Biafra. I want to get your perspective to that. It's a simple question, but it's very deep. Why are they afraid of Biafra? Now, recently, of course, we have about 40 days or 41 days to the countdown. 41 days, about 41 days now to our freedom, which we have determined. And hell is let loose. Yet, it is still the same people who we are fighting for that are coming against this countdown. And they are fighting to protect this system that has caused the death of their parents, their grandparents, their uncles, their aunties, their relations, killed majority of the people around them, millions of people connected to them. Are we going to say, is it right for us to say that anybody who believes in Nigeria is directly or indirectly responsible for what is happening to what happened to these people? What happened to these people? What is happening to these people? And how they were bombed when they were going. Some of them were bombed as they're going like this, they bomb. And what happened to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? And what is happening right now to our people, and right now our people being killed wherever they are. I can show those ones now because when you put them here now, Twitter will just block you. Some bloody things here. Is it right to say that anyone who believes in Nigeria, who is a Nigerian, is responsible for this carnage?
I mean, the word indirectly should never be considered. Yes. They are directly responsible. Just the mere belief, the mere acceptance of Nigeria makes you directly responsible for all the evil, let alone when you believe in Nigeria. Just the mere acceptance of Nigeria makes you directly responsible for what you see happening. I've told you before that it is almost impossible for one who is fed by the devil not to defend and fight for the devil. When one feeds from the devil, they would do nothing else but to defend and fight on behalf of the devil. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. If you are sucking the breast of the devil and you believe that you are enjoying it, even if it will kill you in the end, you will fight anybody that wants to take your mouth off that nipple from which you believe you are sucking. So these are lunatics sucking from the devil. They have no understanding or insight into the fact that all they are sucking is toxic agents that will end up destroying them in the end. They are busy now fighting anyone who wants to remove their mouth from that breast in order to give them the proper food. I've told you that it is these worship and followership and feeding from the devil that has made people prefer the demons that they are used to the angels that are knocking on the door, wanting to come in to save them. It is also the byproducts of conditioning and fixation, which you see in mental disorder. At the end of the day, you will link everything regarding these people to symptoms of mental disorder. And for your information, I have an in-depth knowledge of mental disorder, so I can tell you, and I can tell you, and I can tell you that that is what is going on. These are people that are psychologically deformed. So we have a duty to save them, because when people are suffering from mental disorder, the major component in mental disorder is lack of insight. And once one lacks insight, they will see a snake and even believe that they can go and sleep with it, because they are feeding from whatever their minds are now telling them. So it is now the duty of the one that is sane to do whatever they can, even if it means by force, to save such people from themselves, let alone from others. So there you have it.
So it's just comfortable for us to now say that the people have become like, or they have become like the image that Nigeria represents, corruption, and so they fear being something different.
Yeah. You can only represent your master. Look at all the journalists. Look at all the journalists. They are feeding from the devil, so they can never criticize any evil coming from there. They can never write about anything, because they're feeding from the devil. If it's media that is supposed to be independent and supposed to represent the people, have now gone against the people. Look at your religious leaders who are so scared about what Biafra might mean to them. Do you think any bishop in Nigeria wants to hear about Biafra? They are all supporting Obi because they want to retain Nigeria in any shape, form, or way, because they are feeding from the system. They are feeding from the nipples of the devil. They are scared. They would like to ask, what would Biafra? Are we still going to remain bishops if you get Biafra? Will we still be able to travel to Lagos and command all these people and go to Abuja and still retain our clout? This is what these people are worried about. So we need to dissect these people and understand where they are coming from. We need to take our time to, we are trained to read in between the lines and also fish out what people are not saying, but they would like to say, but they are not saying it. We are trained to do these things, and that's why people are scared of genuine Biafrans. The genuine Biafrans are in depth. You can't cheat them. It doesn't matter how much volume you write, they're going to dissect every word in it. We're not going to be signing contracts that we will be asking, oh, where is the signature? Okay, because have you put in the 2 billion in my account? They say yes. Okay, where do I sign? No, Biafrans, Biafrans, that's what they're scared about, because Biafrans are going to be very thorough. You can't just flash word. Every word you flash will be dissected. We'll know where you're coming from without you having to say it. So that is the fear of Biafra. Okay, but they don't know that these things they are afraid are actually things that are going to save them in the end. They don't know that. I don't think I can hear you.
Sorry about that, please. Someone was calling me, and it's very. I needed to pick it because we were still in that meeting I told you about, and they were asking me some stuff, so I just have to respond. So that's why I have this earpiece in my ear, still listening to them.
Okay.
So now you made a reference. You said something critical about Nigeria, and about 2 weeks ago you were talking about Nigeria, and you defined and analyzed and gave a particular impression about what Nigeria represents. You talked about Nigeria being a manor. And as a manure, we all know what manure is. Even a primary school child knows that manure. They tell us those days to go and look for the dung of cows. When they move, they tell us to go and pack it and mix it in water, and then we need to splash it on our farms. As children, then we have this, and we make some beds and all of that, and we have our farms and we do all of that stuff. So we know what that's the implication of pouring that stuff on the farm, and then how the crops germinate. But now let's look critically at some of these people who have actually made themselves, who say they are Nigerians. How do we define them in relation to being manures?
I made a post this morning where I was actually trying to, given that I didn't mention Biafra and Yoruba nations in it, but I was trying to encourage my fellow Biafrans and my brothers and sisters in Yoruba land not to be afraid. Now, please give me a second. I'm going to answer the door now. Please, just give me.
Okay. We've been talking about these things. Sometimes we have to understand these expressions. We were saying the other time that Nigeria is giving us every knowledge we need to build a better nation called Biafra. And that is why Nigeria is called a manure, because as manure, you help us grow. That means in defining Nigeria, we understand that Nigeria means everything evil, everything but good. That means everything about Nigeria is evil. You understand what corruption means in the context of Nigeria. You understand what nepotism means in the context of Nigeria. You understand what hatred means in the context of Nigeria. You understand what terrorism means in the context of Nigeria. You understand what everything evil is defined in Nigeria. That's why I say, are you a Nigerian? We want Nigerians to come and listen. And of course, most of us here, and those of us who are not Nigerians, we want you to take this message, go give to the Nigerians, let them listen, because we are trying to give an impression, a vivid impression of vivid understanding of what Nigeria represents. Now, in about 2 weeks ago, Prince was talking about Nigeria as manure. And we must come to understand this. Of course, we all know what manure is. Some of you, in secondary school and primary school, you were part of those who also had this experience of, they'll tell us, go around, we'll move out of school, we'll go in groups, we'll go on the streets, then in the zoo, you go pack the dung of these cows as they move. You go pack it and put in nylon and all of that. Then they'll tell you to mix it. You mix it. You put the nylon in your hand. You'll be mixing the stuff. Those kind of things. And after mixing, you pour it on the farm, and then you plant. You do your planting, and then when it grows, the teachers will be the ones to eat what you. It's so funny. You plant for the teachers, because we discovered that I can't remember that I actually took anything. Or maybe we took some anyways, but I know that the teachers always take majority of the things we plant. They just take most of them. So now the manure, now we begin to look at that manure, that thing that is like shit, that thing that is like what we don't want to identify ourselves with, but it is necessary for the growth of the seed, and it gives the seed more opportunity to be very, very, productive, and then give us the fruits that we anticipate. Now, Nigeria defined as manure. Why is Nigeria defined as manure? Prince told us that at that time, but let me explain before he comes and continues on this narrative. Anything that is manure actually came from a process. It came from a process. That means it had undergone decomposition to the point where it becomes waste, and then at the point of waste, it is now used to fertilize the soil. Because as waste, the only place it can survive, or the place it is needed, is the soil. So which means that when you have manure, you don't need your manure in your kitchen. You don't need manure in your bedroom. You don't need manure in your sitting room. You don't need manure in you don't need manure. Anything that is valuable to you, as useful as it is, you don't need manure for it. But you need manure in the soil, because manure is needed in the soil, including fertilizer and all of that. Those are things that are needed in the soil, which means that the soil is the source of producing everything with value, but we need something to fertilize the soil to get the value. Now, Nigeria has become a thing we must turn to waste. We must turn to manure, based on the corruption, based on the killings, based on the terrorism, based on everything that has made it evil, based on the fact that we understand that it is either you are a Nigerian or you are an intellectual. These are two things. If you are from the contraption, that place where you have been trapped, under the name Nigeria, two things are before you. It's either you are a Nigerian or you are an intellectual. The Nigerians are the ones who say, we don't believe in my pledge to Nigeria, my country. They hold to it. Whereas when you say you pledge to Nigeria, your country, in the first place, Nigeria is not a country, because it takes a nation, a group of people with common ties to make a country. A country is a group of people who are commonly positioned for collective interest. And in Nigeria, there is no collective interest. It is clearly divided along tribal lines, along language, along food, along culture. The lines, these lines are so wide, the gap is so wide that you cannot look at Nigeria in any context and have a definition of it as a country. So that tells you that it is not a country, it is not a nation, hence it cannot be a state, because you need a nation to be constituted to have a state. A state is a group of people. That means they have common interest. Before they become a group of people, they have a common interest. And once they become a group of people based on their common interest, then they can begin to talk about a government that moves along the line of the common interest, formed along the line of the common interest, and designed along the line of the common interest. Because government is supposed to serve the interest of the people. So that is why now we begin to understand. Now we have come to understand what it means not to be a nation, because Nigeria defines that. Nigeria helps us to understand what it means not to be a nation. Nigeria helps us to define what it means not to be a country. Nigeria helps us to define what it means to be in the hands of terrorists. Nigeria helps us to define what it means to be in IDP camps. Nigeria helps us to understand what it means to be starved. Nigeria helps us to understand what it means to be killed. Nigeria helps us to understand what it means to be lifeless. Nigeria helps us to understand what it means to be hungry. Nigeria helps us to understand what it means to desire to live, but you have to struggle and still die. Nigeria helps us to understand what it means to be deprived of justice, to be kept in isolation, to be kept in a position where your rights and your expectations are crushed and crumbled and kept at a particular time. Nigeria helps us to understand what it means not to have a say and and not to have the opportunity to survive and the opportunity to fulfill your expectation in life. Sorry, let me take water. So by the definition of Nigeria, we understand what it means to be evil. At that point of understanding is what makes us turn Nigeria, or what makes Nigeria the manure to fertilize our own expectations. That means the nation of Biafra. Because in Biafra, we don't want to see anything Nigeria in it. So which means that we are going to look at Nigeria, look at the evil, and then know what not to position or bring into our nation. Because when you see nepotism, you see it in Nigeria, and then you look at your nation, you say, no, I don't want to have nepotism in my nation, because nepotism is what will lead me to the situation and the consequences of what it means to be Nigeria. When you look at Nigeria, you see terrorism, and then you look at your nation that you're expecting, or your expectation, and you say, this sovereign nation of Biafra, we don't want terrorism, so we're going to do everything. These are the things we're going to put in place to make sure we don't have terrorism in our nation, and then so that we don't have this. And you look at the way terrorism came about in Nigeria, and you use it as a means of learning the lessons that you now position in your own place and in your own nation, and say to yourself that this is not going to happen. So you understand it here. So you can now come to understand the basicness and the vividness and the, you see, it is a very, very interesting privilege for us to have been part of those who have experienced this evil called Nigeria, so that we know how to design a template devoid of evil for our nation that is coming. Because our nation that is coming needs an experience, just like what Jesus, God told Israel, you know, when they were in Egypt. He said, you remember what happened to you in Egypt? Remember this happened to you in Egypt. Remember that happened to you in Egypt. Remember this kind of circumstance in Egypt. Remember that kind of thing that happened to you in Egypt. Remember you were starving in Egypt. God was referring them back to Egypt. Remember you were worshiping idols in Egypt, and Egypt was a cynosure of everything evil. Now you are coming to a land I'm going to give you of milk and honey. The people begin to imagine and value the concept of milk and honey. Do you know that in Biafra, we're going to value our constitution, because we understand that the constitution of Nigeria has positioned Nigeria as an evil forest, because the constitution is what has given the Fulanis the fullness of what they have today: the control, the power, the ability, the thieving ability, the corruption ability. The constitution has approved of their corrupt actions, because in that constitution, you can never sue them for anything. You can never jail them for anything. Forget about all these things they do, all these shenanigans. When this political party comes in, they want to begin to sue the other ones, or begin to bring allegations and tell you these ones, and whereas they are interwoven. They are intertwined. These ones, these people still migrate into this political party. They still migrate to the other political party. They are together. So when this one succeeds and takes power, they don't want to now run down the other people so that you keep looking at their own side. Whereas in their own side, those people who were initially in that part, where they in that part they were condemning, it's now with them. They are now with them. They are not condemning those ones that have come to join them. As soon as you migrate to their side, you are now innocent. All right, our guest is in the studio again, so let's continue from there, sir. So please, you can go on.
I'm so sorry. I'm not sure if I can remember where I stopped.
Yeah, you were actually talking about, because we were looking at Nigeria's Mano, and of course,
okay,
yes.
All right.
So you were talking about that.
So yeah, so I was saying that I made a post this morning where I was asking my fellow Biafrans to be courageous, to be focused, to think right and do right. To remember that Yeshua encouraged his disciples, you and me, to carry arms in self-defense. We are not the offenders, we are not the aggressors, but whatever arms you carry will represent that little weapon that David had against Goliath, who was out to destroy. I need you to know that your enemies who have come to destroy you will provide you with everything you need to deal with them. Trust me, Nigeria will become a manure that will feed the crops that the farmer had cultivated. The ultimate farmer is God, the creator. God had cultivated you and I, the Biafrans, the Yorubas. Nigeria is and will remain the weeds. And these weeds will be converted into manures that will grow Biafra as well as Yoruba nations. I hope you captured the gist.
Very well.
I thank you.
Now these weeds will become manure, you know, and so anytime one says they are Nigerians, they are actually weeds. They are good for nothing. That's why they cannot give you any value. That is why everything they hold on to is, they look green. They look
they look real, but they are not.
Yeah, they're not.
And there are many of them, and there are also many of them, because the weeds are always trying to outnumber the crops. So they have all the features of the weeds. Yes.
Now that there are these kinds of weeds that are very dangerous. I want us to deal with this kind of weed. Now they look like
all the weeds are dangerous. I can tell you,
yes,
until you convert them to become useful to you.
Yes. Let me explain the danger in these ones, because they confuse some people. For instance, there is one kind of weed that grows around the yam. It looks like the yam. You think it's the yam. You think it's part of the yam. You don't know it's weed.
But trust me, it is only farmers that are not real farmers that will be deceived by these kinds of weeds.
Now let's look at those people who are not actually Nigerians, but they are not real farmers, because their intellectual capacity is not, mature enough to look at things critically. And so they are shaking anyway, just like the other time. Somebody came, what happened now? When the 5-day sit at home happened, and some people started calling, please, can you talk about it, please? People are hungry. Can you call it off? And all of that. These are people who have less ability to reason. So they have this low self ability to reason out things very well. We have some of them too who actually are devious. But we have some of them who are confused at every point in time. They don't have the decision of their own. They don't know what it means to be tough in what you want. Now let's define them. Maybe they are those weeds that need to...
To be quite honest, yes, there is no Nigerian that is not confused, that is not insightless, because they are the ones, because of their confusion, because of their lack of insight, no matter how bad the things are and progressively becoming, they will still live in the hope that it will get better, that they can salvage it. They know there is no engine in this car, but they will continue to tell you that this car will move even without engine.
Very well.
Because these are mad people. When I use insight, lack of insight is serious symptom in mental disorder. Lack of insight. Every Nigerian lacks insight, no matter who they are, whether they are a bishop, whether they are whatever they, whether they are in fact, the more high up they are, the more insight they lack. Okay, every Nigerian is a weed. Believe me, you can't even partition them. No, they are all weeds, and they are all dangerous because they lack insight. They are conditioned. They are happy and smiling slaves. That's what they are. They are feeding from the devil, and they represent the devil, and they want to defend the devil at all costs, every inch of the way. That's what they are. And we must recognize them for what they are. We can't make any mistakes about what they are. It's just as simple as that. Didn't you hear Mazin Nandekanu, who said, once you say you're a Nigerian, I lose every respect for you. I would rather be talking to animals than talking to you. And it's a fact.
Now, why do you think that the international media always want to talk about Nigeria rather than talking about the indigenous people?
Well, the international media is part of the entire system that constituted Nigeria. Without international media, you wouldn't have Nigeria. So, I mean, it's like asking, why is the United Nations or ECOWAS say what they are saying. They are part of the whole creation and the manipulation in Nigeria. Are you expecting an orange tree to suddenly start manufacturing mangoes or producing mango fruits? No, they are going to yield what they are. And that is why Biafrans and the Yorubas must go it alone and ensure that these people will not come up tomorrow and say, let's help you to divide, or let's help and show you how to do it. Because problems can never become the solution. Problems can only give you pointers through which you proffer solution. But problems in itself can never become the solution. It's as simple as that.
So let's talk about the soil. Let's talk about the soil. Now, the soil, of course, basically, I look at it like the Constitution. You know, that's we need the manure to fertilize so that we can have the proper template for driving Biafra and driving the nation of Biafra. Now, the reason why Nigeria is where it is because based on the fact that it is designed that way, everything is fitted in the Constitution to keep it that way, because Constitution has a way of defining you. It's like a manual, a manual that defines a product. Now, Biafra is going to be using the manure from Nigeria to fertilize its Constitution, which is the soil for us to grow from, where we're going to spring out from, and then we're going to have our nation. Now, the Constitution of Biafra would be based on the culture and the dictates of the people, and the operations of the people, the traditions of the people, and of course, the expectations of the people. Now, what do you think the people, or based on the fact, because I know you are strongly part of it also, what are you going to tell the people to expect to be fertilized differently using the context of the manure?
In fact, Nigeria provides every ammunition that Biafrans need in order to devise and design a new constitution. In fact, without Nigeria, Biafra would not be able to articulate a proper constitution that will guide it and sustain it. Without Nigeria, it will be impossible. And I'm glad through divine providence, I have participated in the design of Biafran constitution. Because I can assure you that if Nigeria never existed, we wouldn't have put in Biafran constitution the things that you see right there that is unique to Biafra.
Very well.
And that is also designed not only for Biafrans, but for humanity. So Nigeria at all times, even when it is gone, will remain a manure that will continuously feed Biafra and feed Yoruba nations and feed humanity, especially in the areas of what not to do, what never to do, where humanity must never ever go again. Nigeria will continue to act as that manure. Without Nigeria, humanity would never survive, because Nigeria encapsulates everything that is against humanity. All you need is to spin it on its head and reverse it to produce what you're looking for. And that's exactly what we have done. And that is what we'll continue to do, because that's why we say nothing is totally useless in life. Because without negative, there'll be nothing called positive. Nigeria will remain that negativity that will inspire positivity. It's as simple as that.
We're grateful to have you here, you know, and your submissions are just unique. And I believe that Biafrans have been able to understand these facts. I know that some people might have questions, but the problem is that I may not be able to, receive calls now. But I hope that next time here, we're going to have the opportunity of getting the people to actually, you want to say something, please?
Yeah, can I share something with you and our audience?
Okay.
You know, all glory to God, because some of the things God inspires in me, I know troubles a lot of people, and people sometimes I don't know what I'll call it, but sometimes people are brave enough to begin to contest what I may be saying. I do post in many platforms. There's a particular platform I post in England that is linked to LBC Radio. LBC Radio is what they term as the highest conversation going on in England. And of course, we do have a lot of the so-called white British in that group. I've always made it clear that there is nobody that is white and there is nobody that is black. And that is just a pure fact. Today, somebody was courageous enough to say something to me. And I do know that in this transient endeavor of man, whenever your intentions are to do good, whenever your intentions are geared towards humanity, God will never forsake, will never abandon, and will always provide you with answers irrespective of what befalls. So I think one of the audience in that LBC forum wrote something to me today. I believe that she was rattling with some annoyance in saying to me that some of the things I write are not original to me. No, they are not. She used the word, they are not so original to me. But I have the cheek to always end it up with my initials. I looked at it, and I first of all laughed inside me, especially when she said they are not so original. Aha. But immediately my brains went into overdrive, and of course, God began to supply me with the answers I needed to give to her. Because whenever you're faced with challenges, opportunity opens up.
Very well.
That is what happens. So I swiftly responded to her with these words. I said to her that I first of all thanked her for her submission, but then went on to say to her that as far as I know, I have never been accused. Oh, in fact, she summarized her thing by saying that she saw a mark of arrogance in the fact that I always end up initialing things that are not so original to me. Remember the word "so original." Well, then I said to her, I thanked her and then said to her that as far as I know, nobody has accused me of stealing anybody's intellectual property as yet. I've not been accused as yet. And secondly, that I am actually an advocate in the fact that nothing is original to anybody, because our arrival onto this world is characterized by total emptiness, to the level where even the language we speak is learned and is borrowed. So I've never, ever come from the school of thought that anything is original to anybody. Rather, we can only build on existing principles. I went on to say to her that I've lived long enough to know that our world is filled with many people, especially those who claim to be civilized, that are littered with arrogance, grandiose arrogance. But I know that there is something called confidence that comes from that which is true and truthful. So I would like to think that I prefer confidence which comes from the truth to the grandiose arrogance which comes from foolishness. I try to be as moderate as I can in expressing myself, and I think since then she hasn't come back. But I wondered why, even though I knew why. So, in summary, all I'm saying to my fellow Biafrans is to learn to build on existing principles by making sure that we added some value, especially in these things that we know are totally wrong. And I think when we find that something is wrong, God has automatically put us in the position to right that thing that is wrong. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known that that thing is wrong. And as long as we are working within the premises of genuine intention to uplift humanity, God will always be with us. God will always provide all the answers. And we must never be afraid. And we must never, ever work with anything called trying to favor this or favor that, but we will speak from our hearts, and God will come out strong in whatever we say or do. I thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And I know people have learned from this summary, and of course, of all that you have said today. We appreciate you so much. We thank you for your time. In spite of the fact that we moved the time, you still created all the time to be here. We appreciate you so much, and we say we love you, and we appreciate the things you do for Biafra people. And again, of course, we still, of course, as much as we will always have you, we are still going to be expecting you on Friday, here live on the Alliance and Focus program, and hopefully so too, 4 p.m. Biafra time. We say thank you and enjoy the rest of your day, and may Chukwu Okike be with you and prosper you and strengthen you, give you good health and life to continue to be a blessing to Biafra now, during our transition, and then into our freedom. And after our freedom, you're going to be there to help Biafra grow, to help the generation coming to stand on the right footing, and to be established in the truth and in what God is putting in your heart for Biafrans. Thank you so much. We appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I say, and amen to your prayers. And I also want to take out this opportunity to thank you, Kelechi, for the work you have persistently done, the focus, the consistency. I appreciate those. I also want to thank my fellow Biafrans, those who are in the light of truth. And I tell you that God is with us. I, on the same token, thank my Oduduwa brothers and sisters, those that are in the light. I wish to let them know that God is with us. We're not on this, no matter how few we are, we're not on this journey on our own. The will of the Almighty God will propel us to victory, and victory that will remain ours for eternity. In Yeshua's name, amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And,
we appreciate you.
I take my leave, and good luck and God bless.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you. Yes, Biafrans, you see that was a powerful, my God, that was something else, and I know that we all have gotten the message. It is now in our, in our hands to now begin to circulate this message everywhere. Get people to listen to this broadcast and let them begin to understand what it means to be, a Nigerian. And if they are Nigerians, then they should hear this and know where they stand. As long as you call yourself a Nigerian, you are a killer. You have killed our people. You have maimed our people. You have caused our people to die. You have made our parents starve. You are part of those who have kept our people in this suffering. Whether you're a Biafran and then you now say you're a Nigerian, you can never go scot-free. You will be punished, and the spirit of Biafra will punish you for that. That is why we want to make people understand that being a Nigerian is actually accepting to be a British stooge against your people and against the nation that God has called you and put you in. God never called you and put you in Nigeria. God called you and put you in your nation where your fathers are from. That is why God will always say to the children of Israel that I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham. Real Winners is laughing. Of course, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, the God of, the God of your fathers, the God of David. God always refers to him, to the people, refers to the people, talking about where they are from, their source. Their source. So when you say, will you say I'm the God of Nigeria? No, because Nigeria was not designed by him. Nigeria was not called. There was no calling. There was nobody. Who is Nigeria? But the people can give themselves a brand name or a particular name so that connects to the original, where God brought them from. And that is why it's important to understand that what we are doing is to make sure we educate the people to understand. Please share this broadcast, like the video. When you like it, when people see the likes, they want to watch what you like. And please share it on all your social media platforms. I'm not going to do more teaching today because Prince has already done a lot of talking today that our people have benefited. Tomorrow, join me here 4 p.m. Biafra time. My God, it's going to be very explosive tomorrow. I tell you, something unique. You are going to hear some messages here also to boost the concept. Don't mind the distractions. Leave those people who are threatening, those people who are putting bounty, those people who are, leave those things. They're not important. We are going, that tells you we are hitting them hard. Leave the threats, leave the betrayers, leave the saboteurs, leave the elders, so-called elders who are constituting nuisance. Leave them. We are ahead. That is why they have said that they can't do anything. So they are trying to be relevant. The same way they did to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The same pattern, the same template. That is why you should understand that we are winning. When Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was moving forward and they saw the dragon flag, they saw the dragon effect, they quickly went into action. Before you know it, here you hear what people talk about, bounty. Before you know it, you talk about our people rushed it, they sold him out, and that happened. The same template. The enemies are always predictable. The enemies are always predictable, but we are not predictable. That is why they're always dazed. That is why they're always swept off their feet. That is why they're always confused. They want to do some stuff to know what is in your mind. They want to understand what you are doing. They can't understand what we're doing because we are doing the things of the spirit. The things of the spirit entails freedom. That is why we are doing what we're doing. And that is why we, in spite of whatever we go through, we are here talking about freedom. We are here educating people. We are here trying to get people to understand these facts. And basically, that is what we stand for. And I tell you, Biafra is here. And Nigeria is gone. And Nigeria is gone because it's an edifice of evil that has come to plague the world. And we must take the plague from this world so that we all can live a better life, including the Americans, not Americans anyways. There's the Americas too, the Australians, the British, the Islanders, the Europeans, the Asians. Every continent has to be free. And the only thing that is holding everyone down is the name Nigeria. Britain thinks that designing Nigeria is going to help them succeed. It won't help them succeed. It is not possible. When you breed evil, it becomes a monster to destroy you. That it is natural. When you create evil, it grows and destroys you. Today, Britain is suffering because Nigeria is still existing. Take Nigeria off the equation and allow Africa to move in that freedom. You will discover that there will be a balance in development. And once there's a balance in development in the globe, you see corruption reduced, you see evil reduced, you see terrorism gone. Because who wants to, I mean, tomorrow, we're going to talk about this more. Tomorrow. Join me tomorrow, 4 p.m. Biafra time here. Please, for now, share. You are an ambassador of truth. And no truth is supposed to be kept under the carpet. Jesus said something, in Matthew chapter 5. He said, you are the light of the world. Nobody takes the light and put under the bushel, but you put it on the stand for it to give light. So how do you give light? By sharing the truth. That is why you have to share this broadcast on all platforms. You can download it, turn it to audio, forward it to people all over the place, including in Biafra land. Those who don't have access to, share it to one person who has a phone in the family. Tell the person to play it to other people, let them hear, and let them send it also to those who have phones. Let those ones too gather the people around them and play this. These are the things they should be hearing, so that the truth will make us free. Because I told you it's about making free, not setting free. The process of freedom is, detailed in time. So that's it. So thank you all for joining, for being part of this broadcast today. I appreciate you so much. I love you guys so much because you guys are always keen to getting the facts and the truth and joining to see that we are persistently doing what we have to do in the sense of our freedom and getting the result that we need in the light of what we're expecting. And I appreciate you guys so much, so much, so much, so much. And I know that Chukwu Okike will preserve you wherever you are. You must see Biafra. We have 41 days to go. We are going to take our freedom. They are shivering. They are wobbling. Their feet. I said their feet wrong. Their feet wobbling. They are scared as death. Man-made edifice. Thank you so much. Royal winners. Royal winner. Man-made. Man-made. And anything that is man-made and that is worshipped must be crushed, because he's a jealous God. When you make anything and you begin to derive pleasure and take glory in it, just like Britain is taking glory in Nigeria, it becomes a destruction to the people and to those who created it. That is why Nigeria can never produce anything good, because it's a man-made design for worship. If you understand what it means to worship, I'm going to explain this tomorrow, so you understand the basis of worship. Then you'll know that Nigeria is an object of worship. When you say I'm a Nigerian, you are worshiping an image that is designed to destroy you. Tomorrow is going to be another day. I appreciate you guys so much. And I say, listen to this, my lady. This my lady that I always admire. Anytime I look at her and I listen to her courage, I admire her. I'm so delighted. But before I play that, I'm going to give you the voice of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu about Nigeria.
Instead of Biafra not to come, every living organism in Nigeria will die. I swear to God Almighty in heaven, because we are not going back. It is a good thing today that some notable Nigerians are
of Biafra.
We've lived in the north for so many years, and the reward the Hausas could give my poor father was to kill him. He was the first man killed in the May massacre. After being chased for some few yards, they shot at him, and then when they got him, they had to slice him into two. Like, when you want to slice your bread into two, a human being being sliced into two. Can you imagine such a thing? Biafra is going to emerge as a nation. Despite the support of Britain, Russia, Egypt, and some other friends of Nigeria, we all will surely come out as a nation, because we are fighting a just cause. Even a little child on the street will tell you this. We shall never go back to Nigeria again. God's grace will surely emerge as a nation. And so, as far as this war continues, we'll fight to the last man.
a very prophetic utterance from the prophetess. By God's grace, we must surely emerge as a nation. Nation. Important. God creates nations. And we would fight as long as this war continues until the last man. This is a prophetess. On that note, I say thank you all. I appreciate you all. Oduduwa nation, brothers and sisters of other nations trapped under the contraption called Nigeria, and lovers of freedom all over the nations of the world, wherever you are located. I want to thank you for joining and watching. I want to thank Mazi Simon Ekpa, who is standing strong, tall, and everybody is they are going helter-skelter because they don't understand, and they will continue to fall to their ruins and to their death because they are looking at what God have done and to try to bring it down. Thank Mazi Simon Ekpa, thank Umwada, and the chairperson of Madam Mr. Zuka, who is doing a great, fantastic work. They are doing fantastically well and great job out there. I thank the ESN and the Alliance. Oh my. We can't just thank them enough, for what these guys sacrificing themselves to fight for the freedom. As this lady said, we will fight to the last man. And of course, they will be the ones to have the last people because we're going to eliminate them. Mazen Namikani said, I swear to God, Nigeria, every living thing that is what it is a standard in the realm of the spirit, and nothing can change it. I appreciate you all. Wherever you are, you that is watching and playing your parts in committees, in your contributions, in your support, any way you're supporting, by even sharing the truth is enough support given to the fact of establishing truth in the sphere of human existence that is in this world that we live. Because we must take back the nations as much as we await Christ to come and establish the true kingdom, which will be on his shoulder. So we begin it. That is the concept. Tomorrow you'll hear more on these narratives and the things I told you about. On Sunday we're going to talk about and all of that. Tomorrow is going to be fantastic, and we're going to some of the details here today we have explained today. We're going to have them tomorrow, 4 p.m. Biafra time. I'm going to be here with you, and we will be talking. And please remember to join in. I just hope that I'm going to have a particular phone to get you to communicate. Maybe I'm going to get one because I've not been able to get one. I'll just get somebody's stuff and use it so that I can get you to call in, because I want you to call in tomorrow and we'll talk tomorrow. What you have in mind, you say it, because this is the crucial time. We are already counting the days, and it's sure to happen. God bless you all. I thank you. Let me look at the names. Project Breakthrough, thank you so much. Royal Winners, thank you so much. Noelene, Noelene and Yabo, thank you so much. Miss Adazion, thank you so much from work you're watching. Of course, we have yes, let me look at the names. I want to make sure I call everybody's name so that Freeman, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We have Rodney here. Thank you so much, Rodney. Nathaniel, thank you so much. Mary K, thank you so much. Kennedy Obilo, thank you so much. Love, thank you so much. Love. Akobundo, or how do I pronounce that? Enter Biafra, Obisoch. This Obisoch, I always want to look for Obisoch. Is it Obi? And then such, the English word Obi there. Mary K, okay. Josephine, that's F-in. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Love, thank you. Of course, I've called the name before. Stella Uzuka, thank you. Aubrey's Dishes, thank you so much. Sapi Promise, thank you. Agnes Taylor, thank you. Thank you. Ugwezi Amaka, thank you. Emeka Chibo, thank you. Thank you so much. You guys are great. Emenike Chibo, of course, not Emeka, sorry. Emenike Chibo, sorry for that. Don't mind me. Of course, I have I have some other names. Let me see the names. I am Tricia. Tricia, good. Of course, you said the network was taking you out and in, but I'm good that you are here. You're able to sustain it. We have who else? Which other name do we have here? Let me check it out. God save Elukosi Chinedu. Thank you so much for your message. Thank you, Nicholas Uzamaka, of course. Thank you. We have Newman James, and we have thank you so much, Newman James. Thank you, Eze Peter. Thank you. We have okay. Let me see if I can see the other names. I've not actually pronounced here. Obioma Elekwachi. Oh, Obioma Elekwachi, good to have you. Thank you so much, Obioma. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Sapi Promise. Of course, I've called the name initially, Sapi Promise. Chris Odens. You know, we know how to coin these things. Dana Ogumbiade, the only Oduduwa name I've seen. Okay, I saw you down. Adeyemi, I think Olayemi also. I think he said he was he's gonna watch later. He has low battery. So Lola the lady, good to have you here. Eric Barry, of course, thank you so much. And Messingwala, thank you so much. Machi Best Channel, thank you so much. Oh my people. Let me check it out. Emmanuel Obino, thank you, Emmanuel. We also have let me check more names and more details. We have Biafra Maniac. Wow, Biafra Maniac is here. Thank you. Adeyemi, yes, he's the one. He said I'll watch later. My battery's down. You know, he's here also, always here and giving his contributions. My Oduduwa brother and other ones who are watching too. And thank you so much, every one of you. Chidinma Daniel, thank you so much. Mercy Wala, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Vine Maxwell, wow, good. John Almeida, good. Thank you so much. We have the Square B, of course, the Square B. Good to have you. Also, is Stephen Nandi. Thank you, Onka Tony. Thank you so much. And Wanyoma and Wanyoma Chuku. Good to have you. Thank you so much. Chinwe Okolo. Thank you. Onyenso Media. Good to have you. Of course, Judino. Thank you. Yes, and Brother Fox, of course, always, as always. Thank you all. I salute you all and I appreciate you all so much. I think I've seen a particular message. Let me see. Some messages have come in. Let me see the message that is there now. We have some messages that have come in. So let me go back and look at the messages that have come in. Okay. And we have okay. We have remain blessed by brother here, Project Breakthrough. Thank you so much. Fabulous Gaga. I concur with you, Prince Ezem. The world is not round, not flat, not spherical. Of course, in that dimension, people who understand this narrative will understand it. Thank you all. I appreciate you. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. Biafra time. Let's make it another day. Tomorrow is another sit at home. Please sit at home. Obey instructions. This is the time to obey instructions and also support ESN. However you can, however you want to do it, support ESN. Obey instructions. Sit at home is sit at home. Don't begin to, there's one particular stuff I played the other time. Somebody said the one thing about Africans is that when you say people should sit at home, everybody wants to come outside to see if anybody is outside. So don't risk your life for that, because these Nigeria agents, the contraption maniacs, are out there to want to make a point by killing you and then telling everybody that, hey, you see, they have told them to sit at home because they want to kill them. They want to make a point by killing you. So be careful. Tell the people at home to sit at home. Tell your people to obey instructions. Very, very important. Very, very crucial, so that we can move together, because the essence of this is for us to get our freedom. And instructions, just like God gave Moses instructions to give to the children of Israel, they obey the instructions. And as much as they obey the instructions, they advance, they move forward. So when instructions come, you must obey and be part of it. Thank you so much, all. I appreciate you. Uche Godfrey, thank you for your message. Thank you so much for your message. God bless you too, my brother. And of course, Real Winner say, all hail Yoruba Nation, all hail Biafra Nation. Thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. So see you tomorrow. Remain blessed and God bless you. Very good. Keep talking about Biafra, preach Biafra, sleep Biafra, dream Biafra, eat Biafra, do everything Biafra. Oduduwa, whatever nation you belong, do everything for your nation. Thank you so much. I love you all. And Chukwokike love you the most. It's my pleasure.